Hello guys, after yesterday's video, I decided to go ahead and air this out and get it out of the way so I could unburden myself with this detail. The Netflix situation. I'm going to try to break this down as simple and as fast as possible because you're talking about 15 years of detail and explanation regarding how the book was stolen and what happened and where I was and why it took so long to get out. So I'm just going to get to the clip notes and move on. I wrote this story, The Wooden Heart, in 2007. The story of a grieving man marching up a hill, wielding an axe to chop a tree down, where his dead family is buried to build Pinocchio from that tree. Here's the process work. I get out of college. 2008, I move into an apartment complex with my ex-girlfriend, Christine. I'm searching the internet looking for Pinocchio books to see if anybody had done anything like what I had done. I found nothing, but I did find this, and I bought this book off of a website called madcreator.com. I don't have the receipt anymore, but I kept this postcard with it as like a bookmark, and at the bottom it says that it's promoting projects in 2009, January 2009 at the top. This was Carlo Collodio's lore illustrated by Gris. And I liked the illustration so much I reached out to Grimley to ask him to endorse the book. On the back cover of what is now my Falling Apart Pinocchio process, there's my 2008 class schedule, and there is a list of emails of everybody I was in touch with at the time to endorse and publish the book. Gris Grimley's email is right there. I emailed Gris Grimley. I sent him some process work. I sent him some sketches out of the Pinocchio schematics book that I created. And I asked him to endorse it. I told him about the story, and I said, I liked your artwork. What would you think about endorsing my book? He responded to me, and he didn't endorse. He just used it as an opportunity to complain about his life, saying things like I'm burning the candle at both ends and such. And I decided to reach out to him one more time because I didn't really get a definitive answer. He really didn't even acknowledge what I asked him. So I reached out to him one more time, and I never heard back. Fast forward to 2012, I'm at a show in Philadelphia. I meet Stan Lee. He approaches me, said he heard about what I was doing. I was so excited. I showed him all the process work for the graphic novel. Not all the final panels. I didn't bring any of that stuff. And I asked him to endorse it, and Stanley endorsed it. Fast forward to 2014 in Chicago, C2E2. The book comes out. It's released. Fast forward to 2022. Netflix drops a trailer for the Guillermo del Toro Pinocchio movie. And lo and behold, there's my story. The grieving man wielding an axe marching up a hill to chop a tree down where his dead family is buried to build Pinocchio from that tree. At the time that I emailed Grimley, I didn't know that he was working on a Pinocchio movie. So I reached out to my friends, and they reached out to their friends, and we sent Netflix a cease and desist. Netflix responded with an NDA. I signed it, and they sent what they believed to be their prior creation evidence. And everything in those documents basically just were corroborating my entire chain of events. See, they didn't know about this. I never posted any of this stuff to the internet. Social media wasn't a term back then. I really wasn't even on social media. I didn't start posting to the internet until about 2011. So I was trying to figure out a civil way to tell them without being too heavy-handed about how their clients robbed me of my book. And before I had a chance to do that, Del Toro sent his white-collar goon, his white-collar criminal friend, to come and threaten me to Kingdom Come. And they accused me. I mean, the things that this guy said about me were atrocious. He just sent me an 8-page PDF full of condescending garbage and threats and insults. They accused me of committing fraud on the government. They accused me of extortion. They accused me of destroying evidence and asserting this fabricated claim. This was fear. Del Toro, see, these letters don't just get sent. They have to be approved by the client. So Del Toro saw all this and he went, sounds good. all this crap. And there's so many contradictions in this thing. There's too many to cite, but one of the biggest ones that was in here was that they claimed that I had no rights to the Pinocchio story because it was public domain. And in the prior page, he was saying that my book had none of those public domain out. So, I mean, this guy didn't know what the hell he was talking about. And that letter was sent because they were afraid, because they knew that I knew that they robbed me. Del Toro knew he robbed me, Grimley knew he robbed me, and this lawyer knew he robbed me. Because I have, man, where I really started having a mental breakdown in the situation is when I found out what I found out about Del Toro's lawyer and all the criminal things he's done in court. So I realized after that correspondence that they were never going to play fair. And hear me out and what I have to say. They were just going to threaten and incite and throw an inordinate amount of resources to get me to go away. But if you look at the spreads and you look at my book, they're identical. I never sent Gris Grimley the book. I sent him the process work, and that's how I knew Del Toro was involved in stealing my work too. I don't know exactly what the conversation between Gris Grimley and Guillermo del Toro was after I emailed him, if he didn't say anything, if he kept the ideas to himself, or if he told them. Now, my assumption after seeing the NDA documents and looking at that trailer was that Guillermo del Toro knew. That's privileged information, but I know that they robbed me, and they know they did too. You don't send 8 pages of threats to kick rocks if you're not willing to defend the emperor with all the might of the Praetorian Guard. So it was a very, very rough time for me. There's a lot of detail involved in this situation regarding where I was and the time frames of everything. And the most damning part about this is the NDA documents. See, I know he robbed me. And they know they robbed me too. And I had to be okay with the idea that I was never going to get a day in court. Because it wasn't just Netflix and Del Toro that were implicated. It was everybody. It was Grimley. It was everybody that had a hand in creating that scene, that tree scene. This, where the man is chopping the tree down to build Pinocchio. It's shot for shot. It's panel for panel. So it was going to cost an inordinate amount of money and time, and there was no metric on how long that was going to take. So the attorneys that I was talking to at the time, several weren't prepared to take that on because it was a big deal. Now, mind you, that trailer dropped a year after Guillermo gets out of court for plagiarism on The Shape of Water. 3 years he spent in court with that. I think it was 3 years, because I remember when it went down. And I remember seeing in 2021 that it was settled. And then his trailer drops for that. So not only was he up for an Oscar for this movie, and then he gets out of court for plagiarism a year prior, they weren't looking to have a conversation about how they screwed me. They just wanted me gone. I went through a lot of dark days dealing with this. And it's not even the awards or the money that affected me the most. It's why I wrote the book. See, I didn't know my father when I was growing up, and my mother lied to me about that. And I found out later that what she had lied to me about was so traumatic that, which is why the book was written, that I can't even say because it could ruin people's lives. That's what affected me most about this, is when you pour your heart and your soul into your work and somebody comes and takes it and calls it their own to make money or win an award. I could never imagine doing that to somebody. It's one of the most egregious things you can do to an artist. Guillermo del Toro is a plagiarist. Gris Grimley is a thief. and Hollywood is nothing but a criminal enterprise.